Hi everybody, Armoured Pants here, and I have another video for you, and we're going to have a look today at the Tier 7 tank destroyer in the American line, the T25 AT. This is a subscriber request video. You guys asked for it, and I am very happy to deliver, and I'll tell you why. Because and I am aware that we're taking a slight detour because I said we go through the new American heavy line, and I've done the Tier 7, Tier 8, we're going to do the Tier 9 next, but you did ask for this T25 AT guide, and I realised I hadn't done it before, which was surprising because this is quite simply a wonderful tank. It is absolutely fucking superb, with a capital S. And I go so far as to say it might even be my favourite tank to play right now. That changes all the time. I have different favourites all the time, but right now I think this is one of the most fun tanks to play, but also really effective, and really good. But let's take a look at why, and by looking at the tech spec, right? So, you know, it is indeed very high praise to say that this is my favourite tank right now. But just, you know, I was getting back into Blitz, and, you know, I didn't really play this tank much, and I thought I'll go back and play it, and, you know, it's simply wonderful, and we're going to have a look at why in a second. But in terms of provisions, I would run Coke, case of Coke, and the fuel. I would, now in terms of the equipment setup, you can run gun rammer or calibrated shells. The difference is a 6.7 or 7.2 second reload. I would run calibrated shells and refined gun because it's a TD. Plus, the penetration loss is really bad on this if you don't run, because the same gun system that we looked at in the heavies recently, right? So penetration loss is 11.6% if you don't run supercharge, and then it's down to 5.8%. Still high, but I mean, you can't really. I don't think you can really run gun system at 11.6, almost 12% penetration loss. There's three gun types. Both the bottom are 90mm, and then there's 105mm, which is the same gun system more or less, which is on the Tier 7 and Tier 8 American heavies that we recently looked at. You need to get to 105 system because you need that extra pen. The pen numbers then are quite decent, 198mm of pen, so the same as you have on a Tier 7. Tier 7 heavy that we just looked at, the M7 Yo. You get muzzle velocity of that's if you run calibrated. That's if you run gun rammer. If you run calibrated shells, obviously it goes up. It's 208. If you when you're running supercharger, muzzle velocity is 1229 meters per second, going up to 1525 if you use APCR, and HE is the same at 1229. The gun handling index is very good. It's 13.5, which is really good. And it's not quite German levels of gun handling, but it's pretty good. So the gun system is reliable, especially if you enhance it by using the supercharger and refined gun. Get the dispersion down as well. Its mobility index, now this is surprising, right? And this is one of the reasons this tank is so good. Its mobility index is 6.6, right? So if you take a AMX CDC, right, it's 8.8 or something like that. Just shows you just how maneuverable this tank is, right? It has really good power to weight ratio. It has a really good top speed of 56 kilometers per hour. It has really good power to weight ratio, as I said. If it's on hard terrain, in soft terrain you lose about half that mobility, so just be aware of that. But here's the other thing: it has really good traverse. So even though it's turretless, right, a lot of people think, okay, well, I'm going to be able to get around this thing. It's really fucking difficult to get around. I mean, this is like trying to get out of the house to watch football when your wife wants you to do something. I mean, it's really difficult to get around. This thing is really surprising, and it really surprises the enemy. Firstly, because it's a TD, it's turretless, they're not expecting that. But secondly, because there's not that many of them in the game. So a lot of players are not that familiar with them, and they don't know what to expect, right? And the other thing, of course, is this armor on front, right? When you're top tier, you can bully the shit out of everybody else with this thing if you go front on, because apart from that bottom plate, it's almost impenetrable front on, right? Massive gun mantlet for bounces as well. You can see here when you're top tier just what they see, and even when you're up tiered against tier 8s, if you're up against mediums and lights, they're going to find it difficult to penny front on. Sides and back, of course, you're vulnerable. You need to protect your butt. As we said before, just think Tim Robbins in Shawshank Redemption. You need to keep that butt safe, stay out of the shower, and stay away from mops and buckets. But you really, but if you can remain front on this thing, you're going to get bounces, and you're going to see some bounces in the gameplay coming up, right? You can play this tank And this is another reason I love it. You can play it as a traditional TD. You can sit at the back with that reload and the penetration numbers. You get loads of damage. You can farm damage in this thing, whether or not you're using the 6.7 or 7.2 second reload. You've got some protection if you fire shots, especially if you're front on. But when you get more familiar with this tank, you can really just play as a medium tank because it's so mobile, gets around the map. And you're going to see in this game, right, I'm going to capture 3 bases, which is, really unusual for a TD, right? Normally TD might capture 1 if you're lucky 2, but capturing 3 out of 4 bases in a TD is really phenomenal, right? And also I'm up tiered in this game too, so I don't have the bully boy tactics that I might normally use, but unless I'm in a map which is particularly suited to a TD, and what I mean by that is, like, let's say a canal where you can go to A, there's a great TD spot on that, there's other TD spots near around D and C, or Dead Rail, which is one of the best TD maps there is. But if you take a map like here, like Yukon doesn't really have that many TD spots, and the ones that there are, only still half of the map is closed off to you, right? You cannot fire targets in at least half of the map. Like if you're over at the waterfall, all targets in this area of the map are completely closed off. You have no line of fire. So generally, if I'm in a TD on this map, you usually kind of have to move. And therefore, if you're in a tank like this, you can just move, really, really well. Now, I am running calibrated shells in this one, right? I'm going to do another video with a mastery game where I'm running gun rammer, so I've got the lower reload at 6.7 seconds, right? You can see here what I mean, right? Tiger 2, German gun system, decent pen numbers, getting bounces off him. In fact, the only time he pens me is when I actually take a shot because I want to clear him off, and then he pens me because he's able to get some aim on me. But when you're wiggling and jiggling, so I take that shot there because I now have faster reload than him, so I come in and get the kill on him. But you can see, okay, I had to use APCR, but you front on to a Tiger, it's one of the most heavily armored tanks in tier 8 front on, so I'm quite happy to use APCR there. But you can see penning, no problem. Gun system's very good. Normal AP round for the IS, even though it's heavily armored. Wiggle and jiggle here, going to make it difficult for him. He has a really long reload, he's not going to get a shot onto me anyway. Clear him off, and now we're on to our second base capture. So second base capture, we've taken out 3 enemy tanks, and I've taken 1 hit. Right, well worth it, I think. Could have avoided that hit too, but I wanted to clear off that Tiger. But if you can keep front onto this. Now, we're going to have a look at me going head to head here with a T44 on full health, right? And in this tank, I have complete confidence I'm going to be able to do it. Now, I have this little hill here, which is great because it's hiding my really vulnerable lower plate. I get a bounce off him. I'm going to track him again because I don't want him to get around behind me. That's where I'm vulnerable, so I'm going to track him. I don't mind if I waste a shot tracking him because I've got fast reload. And then I got a beautiful ammo rack on the T44 there. Really nice. So getting some extra XP for the knockout there. Now I'm resetting my camo here because I know that rim is out there somewhere, and I really don't want to take a massive round on the side off the rim because he can clear me off. We don't know where he is. I think he might be up there because he's unspotted, so I'm kind of angling so I'm not giving him an easy shot on my side or back. And now we know where he is, so now I'm happy that I can just face up to him, because the rim, if he's seeing my front armor, he either has to take a long time to aim at me, or he has to fire HE, and HE is going to roll me for about 250 to 330 front on with that armor profile. So I'm quite happy to take that, because I know I'm going to be able to put 3 shots into him for the 1 he puts into me. But anyway, he doesn't even get that chance. My allies are able to shoot him up. I take him out, clear off another higher tier tank, and I would have cleared off this guy here, but we ran out of time. So, you know, really light and fast game there, guys. Look at this damage here, 3.1k damage, tier 7 in a tier 8 game. You know, almost twice as much damage as the next guy to me, the Tiger 2. And that's what you can do with this tank. It has great mobility, great traverse, great rate of fire, great pen numbers. If you're front on, you can get bounces. You know, it can do the job of a traditional TT, but also it can play the job as a support, or you can even go as a medium. And you can see there loads of badges delivered: sharpshooter, master gunner, Halloran's medal, top gun, and mastery badge. And this tank is just great. Can't say I can't recommend it enough. It's great fun. It's a hidden gem, not like that Adam Sandler movie, which is shite. I do say the only good thing about it is seeing him getting shot in the face at the end of it, which is magnificent. I watched that about 1,000 times. But you know, this tank, a real hidden gem, and if you haven't got it, get it and enjoy it, guys, because it's really super tank. So cheers, Mush. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. Thanks for watching. Glad to take the break for that. Glad to be able to do that subscriber request video, because I know you guys have asked for it. And now I guess all that remains for me to say is, as always, pants off. Oh, and we will be back with another T25 AT video, short one soon, and then back to the new tier 9 and 10 American heavies. Cheers.